Wait a minute, are we really done with the 90s? Listen, I know this trend is talking about basketball, but hear me out. From the style to pregame music, hip-hop and basketball share a close bond. Players want to be rappers, and rappers want to be players. It's no surprise that there's such an overlap. Both expressions are considered art and play a monumental role in the molding of the next generation. That's why when I saw this video, I didn't think of basketball, but hip-hop. The parallels are clear as day and begs the question, is the same thing happening to rap? Mainstream hip-hop is known to have a divide between old heads and the new generation. This split is attributed to many things, but in my honest opinion, none come even as close as the impact of the internet. I know we all enjoy liking, subscribing, and watching amazing videos like the one you're watching now. However, the internet has paved a way, for better or worse, that enabled a much wider art form than the days of the past. This, in turn, creates a seemingly saturated platform. But I actually challenge this claim, and many of you may not like what I have to say. Is this good?
Hey yo, doctor, here's another proper track, and it's fat, watch the sniper, time to pay the piper.
I mean, the skill. Is it objectively a high skill level? What about this?
Look at my ceiling, it's endless. I'm sick of these bitch nigga feeling the sentence. It ain't in the vitamin C and they system to get rid of me. I'm a killer, relentless. On top of that, sound like I'm still in the
J. Cole undoubtedly has more skill as a rapper. The issue is the absence of context. Considering the fact that 90s rappers grew up listening to this,
Basketball is my favorite sport. I like the way they dribble up and down the court.
producing on this, and rapping on this, it is a true testament that being a product of your time is a real thing. The thought of robotic sounding drums, punchy 808s, and many other elements were non-existent in the 80s and 90s. The rappers of that time were a product of different times in society, which shifted and molded into their sound. Now, the claim I'm about to make may be controversial, but it is reality. Today's rappers are more skilled and equipped. The absurd growth and participation within the genre of rap produces an incredible amount of talent. There are rappers considered underground that I argue are the most skilled and professional rappers of all time. Just like the NBA, there are players on the bench in modern times that would make most players in the 80s and 90s barbecue chicken. That is because it's so easy to pick up on the information and influence of the previous era. The natural process of human evolution and adaptation ensures that we will find new avenues and destinations that were unfulfilled in years prior. The truth is, hip-hop has deterred away from the past, much like everything else because of the natural process of reconstruction. Each era had their stars, which overlapped with stars of other eras. Rakim in the 80s, Nas in the 90s, Eminem in the 2000s, Kendrick in the 2010s, and J. Cole in the 2020s. Jumping one era has shown to work, whether it's collaborations, respect, or comparisons. For example, J. Cole with Lil Durk. Now, the same cannot be said for the majority of artists that jump multiple generations. Like, could you imagine a collaboration between Ice Cube and NBA Youngboy? That just completely ignores decades of evolution within the craft. With this comes a skewed perspective of one generation to another. From an artist's perspective, we can look at Middle Child by J. Cole as light on this concept.
I'm dead in the middle of two generations. I'm little bro and big bro all at once. To the OGs, I'm thinking you now. Was watching you when you was paving the ground. I copied your cadence, I mirrored your style. I studied the greats, I'm the greatest right now.
J. Cole, as he said, mirrored the ones who came before him and adapted with those after, ultimately paving himself a path with what worked, trekking through the shifts and pivots throughout the art form. None, though, may be more monumental than the one we're in right now. Currently, we're in a time where our opinions are more accessible than ever. Trends are more present with the instant sharing on the internet. Music has never been easier to publish and create. And guess what? It's only going to get easier, bigger, and better. Time is going to pass, and everything you defend now is going to sound like the old heads you argue with on Twitter in 20 years. What are you going to say when your favorite rapper gets trashed and no matter what you say, get labeled an old head? J. Cole, Kendrick, Drake. It's inevitable. There will be somebody better at rapping, a better storyteller, and more popular. Now, with all that being said, it's a two-way street. The hip-hop guys of the 90s started all of this when they felt like their art form was being disrespected by the newer generation, when rap was real. Those are the same guys who won't give the newer generation a chance. Am I gonna sit here and say they were right, or the newer generation is too harsh on their predecessors? No, because at the end of the day, genuine thought-out discussion about the state of hip-hop must be had to fully convey and communicate the ideas and issues coexisting members of the community may have. It's glaringly obvious that the state of rap has changed in its 40 plus years of life. To pick a side on new or old is flat out wrong. To say the newer generation lacks skill or everybody sounds the same is inconsiderate of the true talent possessed by many rappers of today. On the same token, saying the older generation is boring or too serious is just as a closed-minded point of view. The styles have shifted so much, it makes fans of their generation uncomfortable. In the 90s, songs were longer, beats were heavy, and skits were a thing. It's not bad, it's just what it was back then. And there were definitely a fair share of bad rappers back in the day. But that does not discredit the hip-hop giants that were so dominant back then. Overall, generational bias plays a huge role in the perception of eras and how great they truly were. But it's also probably fair to think they genuinely enjoyed that style of music regardless of evolution. In due time, the rap greats of now will be overtaken, but the appreciation we have for the GOATs will never be lost. The ones who did it first or started it all. The pioneers. What's important is the synergy of ideas that transcend generational bias. The collaboration of visionaries that push the boundaries of what is deemed possible regardless of era. It is this way of thinking that will destroy division within the culture and guide it to heights unimaginable. To members of the community, whether your favorite rapper is KRS-One or Polo G.